and welcome. My name's Tanya June Moore, and I am here with Rory McDonald.
O'Donnell.
Oh.
That's a good start.
Donald. Hi, but he's got a great movie. It's called AutoDrive. And you can reach him on his Twitter account at AutoDrive, capital F Film, at AutoDrive Film. So, never been to Sedona before?
I haven't, no, but 25 years ago I travelled by Greyhound from Richmond, Virginia to the Grand Canyon and back. So that's, and so I sort of Flagstaff and Grand Canyon is my, I spent a lot of time in New Mexico and then Grand Canyon. But I did remember a lot of very nice air, fresh air, and feeling very fit and healthy, and a lot of beautiful scenery. So when we got this festival, I thought I'd go.
Absolutely.
Despite the fact my producer's in Beijing, actually Shanghai, she just emailed me, she's moved on to Shanghai. She's normally at every festival with me, so I'm by myself, which is very nervous.
Are you going to be here all week?
I am right through to the end. Basically, it's a holiday, let's be frank.
Going to get out and do a little hiking?
It would be nice, but we'll have to see.
Okay, you should.
It is wonderful to step out of the motel in the morning and just see all of that sitting in front of you. And it is I'm the sort of person who just wanders off into the wilderness. I have a tendency to get lost and have to be rescued, though. So that was New Mexico, same year I came to Arizona.
Is that how you came up with the idea for AutoDrive?
No, AutoDrive it's a bit of a long, convoluted story, I'm afraid, because back the credits on here, actually this just says written and directed by me, but if you watch the film, it then says based on an original idea by Dan March and David Hale. They're two comedians, I know. Dan March is sort of my best friend, and he brought me this little sketch about a guy who has a GPS system. It gives him the wrong direction, so he's not expecting, takes him to a house where this woman comes out of the house, takes something out of the GPS, swallows it, and she's got her voice back. And I thought, it's not very good. I'm very honest to Dan, and I said, no, it's not very funny. But I love the idea of this GPS system giving the wrong directions. And that night I thought about it, and unfortunately I have a dark and twisted brain. And the next night I went to their comedy show, and afterwards I sat at a table and I said, Dan and Dave, I'm sorry about this, but last night I took your idea and I wrote my own script. Sorry. And basically I agreed to give them the credit, even though obviously none of their writing's actually in it. I mean, the idea wouldn't have happened without them. And believe it or not, I went and, after I finished making the film, I went and found the first draft of the script. And it was dated August 2004. Wow. So it actually took 8 years from the idea to me getting around to making it, which is far too much procrastination, I think. There was a couple of times I tried to get it made, but then we finally... I'm glad we did, because a lot of the technology we would have needed didn't exist back then. I won't say any more than that, but it's... So that was the basis of the idea. And it's a strange thing, because now the film means certain things to me, which it didn't when I started writing it, if that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. I started writing this idea about this guy with the GPS and where it took him, which you'll see if you see the film. And then I realised it was about other things, the anonymity of modern society, the big city, and other people bring other things to it. People have come to me and said, you know, it's about people, what do you call it, illegal, moving people around illegally. What's it called? People trafficking. Thank you, trafficking. It's about people trafficking. I even had one of the actors who was going to be in the film and unfortunately had to pull out due to something called pregnancy. Shows you how long this film took to make. But she's a wonderful Ukrainian actress who works in Britain, quite well known from TV, and she and it's wonderful. And she said it reminded her of Russian Bride, that sort of Russian Bride thing. And I thought, well, great if you think of that. And I'm really happy if other people see something in the film that I didn't necessarily put there. I think mainly it's about the anonymity of modern society. Okay. Because I live in London. This is Sedona, I don't know how many people there's, 20,000 people here?
10,000.
London is 10 million, depending on what you include in the city. And I have lived in the same flat for 14 years. And I don't know any of my neighbours. I don't know the names of the people in the corner shop. And about 4 years after I lived there, one of my best friends moved in, and she grew up in a little town in the mountains of Austria. And within a week of her moving in, she knew all my neighbours, the guys in the newsagent, the person who sold the tickets at the railway station. She was introducing people to me who I had been into their shop for 4 years and never said a word to. And I think that's what cities do to you. They're actually the loneliest and most anonymous places you can live. And people put themselves in these little boxes where they love their technology and they can have their GPS systems and their DVD players, and all they hear is voices, recorded voices. You phone up and it's all press 1 for this, press 2 for this, and you can go a whole week in a city, especially if you work in a little cubicle job, without actually speaking to a human being. And I think it's that sort of anomie, as sociologists call it, that anonymity of the city, being surrounded and a feeling that you don't have a purpose. And I think that's what it means to me.
Do you think that living in that box in the city, and I can relate, creates a type of introvertedness within us?
Absolutely.
That maybe even there's a few of us, and I see it in you too, that we're extroverts. But we get caught into that introvertedness.
Yeah, absolutely.
And do you feel like it's mislabeled?
Sorry, I don't
Do you feel like that introvertedness is mislabeled? I mean, you're calling it this anonymity within the city. Do you feel that introvertedness?
Yeah, it is forced on us, I think. I mean, for instance, our hero, again, just get another chance to show that up, Steve here, who's played by Alex Warren, who's a National Theatre actor, English National Theatre, so a very good actor. He lives for his gadgets, and he doesn't have any real communication. He's got 2 fish, which is basically because there were 2 fish in the house we were shooting in. So it's a nice thing to cut away to. 2 piranhas. There you go. then I'm sure people will read symbolism into that, but they were in the room. But I'm happy to use them. And he, where did I go with that? I often start this. I start an arc, and I don't get back to where I was starting with anonymity.
We were talking about introvertedness.
Yeah, introvertedness. Yeah. I think you start to, I suppose, feel that you don't really have any sense of self. So you create this little world, and the internet allows us to do that as well. For instance, if you have a certain political beliefs, you can just look at the websites that agree with you.
Absolutely.
And you can create this own little world in the internet where everyone believes what you do, and therefore those people who don't believe it are weird and different. And the internet, although the internet's a wonderful thing for sort of spreading things, it's also actually a way of making your world very small and only dealing with the people who are exactly the same as you. And so I think that's a sense that you don't have any sense of purpose. And what happens with Steve is when he hears this voice from the GPS, which starts to give him, first of all, starts to give him the wrong directions, and it's not giving away too much, it then asks him for help. And then the voice in the box. And I think that is the point where you're given a chance to make a difference. Someone is asking you specifically to help. You're given a chance to be a hero, to do something different. Because a lot of people might watch this and think, a voice starts talking about a box, I've got to go to the police, why would I do this? But if you get, I think you do get the sense of being able to be a white knight, to make a difference to someone.
And this is his adventure.
Yeah, exactly. It's that opportunity to make a difference. And we're getting sound effects.
Wait,
this is great.
Did another angel get their
I
wings?
don't know what that was.
Clarence.
So that threw me completely, and I've lost my thread.
That's okay. We were talking about him being a hero and going on an adventure.
And I think it's another thing, because I'm very keen, because actually I work for an organisation in London called Rain Dance, who run the Rain Dance Film Festival, which is the second biggest in London. But I actually spend the whole year, I run the film training for Rain Dance. I run directing courses and things like that. And I'm very keen to get more women into the industry all the time. And also very keen to talk to screenwriters and say, look, write for women. And then, of course, I came to writing my own. And I wrote The Lead's a Man. And the woman is, well, I won't say anything to give it away. But people might look at this and think, well, that doesn't really follow your philosophy. But I tried. I actually said, I thought, okay, let's make Steve a woman. And make the person goes and helps a man. And I suddenly realised it doesn't work, because if an audience was sitting and heard a woman in a car and a box says help me, and she does, they're all going to sit there going, you're stupid.
Nobody's going to do that.
That's just the most stupid thing to do. A man sort of then accept that he has that white knight thing of, I must go and help this woman in this box.
Well,
So it was, so that was quite an interesting thing to come out of it as well. That the understanding that there are certain
gender
roles,
roles.
gender roles which exist.
Yeah, and they still exist
you
today.
can't sort of accept that a woman would be stupid enough to do that, basically.
Maybe 50 years ago. But then we wouldn't have had the technology.
Well, when I wrote it in 2004, I don't drive, like a lot of people in London. I passed my test in 99, finally, at the age of 32, and I haven't driven since the day I passed my test. I didn't actually know what a GPS looked like when I wrote it. I'd heard about them. In fact, didn't even know what one looked like or how they operated. So I created my own, which looked like a 1950s radio. I have no idea. And my prop people would have bought this, made it based on the script. And everyone was saying, this looks nothing like a GPS. But now everyone's seen it in the car, getting people saying, I want one that looks like that.
Absolutely, absolutely.
There we go. Anyway.
So, the way for people to reach out to you and get in touch with this film is on Twitter.
There is, yes, AutoDrive Film, at AutoDrive Film, with capital F, small a. Sorry, capital A, capital F, AutoDrive Film, on Twitter. I did last year, I made 4 horror films in 4 days for fun with my friend Jason. And we had a wonderful actress we met called Caroline Munro.
Secret slasher films?
No. There's a wonderful actress called Caroline Munro, who in the 70s was one of the biggest sex symbols in England in the 70s. She was in Hammer horror films, she was a Bond girl, etc. And we met her, and we decided to make we wrote these 4 horror films with her as a sort of linking thing called The Landlady. And so if you want to actually see something, because AutoDrive, until it finishes the circuit, which is probably here, to be honest, this might be its last festival, so hopefully it'll be out to the real world soon. But you can go and see The Landlady on YouTube. If you go to YouTube and put The Landlady Caroline Munro, because there are other things called The Landlady.
Okay.
The Landlady Caroline Munro, and you can watch these 4 short horror films we made, which are very much in the sort of 1960s, 1970s Hammer style. No zombies and no
So,
horror
The
ones.
Landlady, Carolyn Monroe on YouTube,
Yep.
and Twitter, AutoDrive, capital F Film,
Yep.
can get you on this one.
Absolutely.
And this is it for you for the
I
film
think this
fest
is
circuit.
probably the last festival. So then hopefully we can stick this on the internet for the whole wide world to see.
Fantastic. Thank you, Rory.
Thank you very much.
Rory O'Donnell.
O'Donnell. Yes.